nice. That banjo really rings out.
It certainly does.
So, hello, welcome to the fourth edition of Listen Up Illinois here at UPTV in Urbana, Illinois. Today my guest is Banjo Billy, also known as Billy Matthews from Arkansas and southwestern Missouri area. He's a master musician on the banjo and the fiddle, and a pretty good guitar player as well. And he's here today. We're going to have some good old banjo music. We're going to have some fiddle music. We're going to talk a little bit about the music, about some different musical styles, and also he has a little historical perspective for us on the music and how it relates to the history of the United States. So, you want to play another tune, or do you want to? What was the name of that tune you just finished?
Oh, that last one was a tune called Cornbread. And cornbread like to eat. This is and that's an example of old-time minstrel style banjo playing, or today it's known as claw hammer style. And it goes back to early 19th century. So, and that was kind of the advent of the banjo, and it's come a long way since.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it'd be early minstrel style playing, or stroke style. And there's a lot of different tunes that they would use, usually very simple melodies that just go over and over and over again. And people would dance until they tired out.
Yeah.
And but I got a couple of examples of that besides the first one that we did. So I'll play you another one. So this is old-time claw hammer banjo playing. And what we're actually doing is playing earlier music on it. So from, well, actually the early minstrel history begins, well, we like to say probably the late 20s, 1820s, to about up to the Civil War was when actually this period of time took place. So all you need was a banjo player, and you could dance all night as long as the banjo player would keep playing. So you had to have a couple of them, because one would tire out and you have to get another one.
The dancers had more stamina than the banjo.
Yeah, much more stamina. But life was tough back then, and you know, you worked real hard, and then if you could find any time at all to have a little tune and try to have a little bit of happiness in your tough life. You did it as often as you could. So let's see, this one is, what's this one? Oh, this one's called Old Dominion, which is actually another name of the state of Virginia. So back when we ran the Brits out, kind of all started right there. So Old Dominion, how's that one go? I'll get it. living there.
One question I always ask people is kind of how long have you been playing this music, and where, you know, how did you get interested in the music? Where did you get your start?
I guess I was interested in it when I was when I was a teenager, and I used to play electric guitar and all sorts of things when I was young, and played different types of music, and I kind of had my run at that, and then I got an acoustic guitar and started playing that, and then the next thing that came along was a banjo. So about the time I was playing the banjo about, I think maybe I must have been 19 or so, and so it's just an evolution through playing different kinds of things and sampling different things, and then finding something that I kind of really like, so I did it a lot.
So were there people in your community that were playing, or how did you get exposed to the music? It's not something that's on the radio or on TV where you'd see it, so you must have run into some people somewhere that...
Well, I actually left from where I was living and went in search of actually folk music or old-time music, thinking about banjos and fiddles. And so I first went to Colorado looking for people, and I only found a couple older folks that were members of that generation that could actually play. And so that's just a couple of people. So anyway, after I'd kind of looked around out there a lot, then I moved to Arkansas looking for other people. And I found several different people, but they were all on basically their last legs. So I went and learned what I could from them and decided, now I'm obliged to continue, because I went that far and met some people, vestiges of the old style. So I guess that's why I'm still doing it. And that was, I don't know, it's been over 30 years at least.
Yeah.
I try not to count.
So you're carrying on the tradition.
Yes, absolutely. And, somebody needs to. And there's a lot of people playing banjos out there these days. But back in those early days, I don't know, maybe I'd run into a banjo player somewhere. And then a year later, maybe somewhere else. But I had to go out farther than just the local community to find them.
So you had to search it out.
Yes, definitely had to seek it out and find what I could, and then study on, the rest. Let's see, I got another tune. It's another style. This is called the plantation jig. And what you'll notice about this is rhythmically it's syncopated, which actually means one beat on top of another set of beats. So anyway, syncopation is one of the things that is actually the basis of this whole music, of this type of music, banjo music, because it's a syncopated thing. Anyway,
Rhythmic.
yes. So it's just a little more, even though the tunes are real simple, they can be rhythmically sophisticated. So let's see, plantation jig, how's it called? Now this is an early one from the 1830s. I'll come up with it here in a second. Okay.
Yeah, maybe, we've had bluegrass banjo on here, and we've had some people on the show that do claw hammer. But why don't you, maybe you can show people your finger there, your first one. You have a pick on there.
You have a pick on there, yes.
So you're using that finger and your thumb, and how are they interacting with the strings? And
Okay. Well, your basic stroke style is actually this. Which is similar to, you know, the rhythm of a horse. That's why they call it stroke style, because you're stroking down. A little out of tune. It's that one.
so your first finger is strumming down on the strings, and then your thumb is
Right,
is
you're
pointing.
so it's one, like one and up. And then you can do it faster.
That's how you get that rhythmic.
Right. And what actually claw hammer is, which is a little different, it's the same thing, but you use your thumb intermittently while that's going on to get other notes. So it would be. So it's like alternating thumb, so it is. So it goes from the regular style, then you add your thumb. So it just adds more syncopation.
So your thumb is actually playing melody notes as well as
Right. And this finger too.
the minstrel style is different from that.
No, that's
That's the
that
same
is the
thing.
minstrel stroke style, which is now called
Claw
claw
hammer.
hammer. Right. I got one more example of one of these. This here is a wonderful banjo. It's a J.B. Shaw, I think, and it belongs to a friend of mine. So it's just on loan, so I'm making sure I don't get it dirty. Anyway, this is from about the 1890s, and it has nylon strings, or what would have been gut strings. And in the old days, if you had a banjo like this, you were a one-man band. You didn't need anybody else. Anyway, let's see. I thought of another one we could try. Oh, here's one. It's a real simple thing. It's called The Long Road. Especially when you had to walk. You had to walk long distances. Or take the buggy or the wagon. So it could get monotonous. Didn't like that. That's much better.
ring a little bit.
Yeah, it lasts for a long time.
And guys, I kind of like that little pop you got there.
It happens once in a while, you get your fun hooked
But
onto
that
it.
kind of adds to the rhythm, I think.
Yeah, it's usually not intentional.
Oh.
It just kind of takes place whether you want it to or not. Anyway, so that's old-time minstrel style banjo playing for folks who might be interested in that. There's been a resurgence in banjo playing, probably in the last 20 years anyway. A lot of people are out there doing it and going to festivals and learning how to jam and basically just it's another outlet to just have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
it's something you can do alone or with friends if you want.
Yeah, and it's actually good therapy just to do it by yourself too, because you can make a happy noise and right away you feel happier. So people like me, we call it therapy, but it's a must. You must do it. So
now you're gonna pick up a fiddle here.
yeah, I think that's what we should do.
Go to the fiddle music, and maybe we might mention, and we may mention this a couple of times, that Billy is in the midst of a project.
Oh yes.
Of recording 500 fiddle tunes, and so far he's got the first 100 done. Hopefully you can see this in the camera. He's got the first 100 tunes done. It's on a 3 CD set, and he's working on the next 400 tunes.
Yeah.
And is there going to be a book with this?
Oh, there
eventually?
is. When it's all finished, there'll be a book of the sheet music, those versions exactly, and expanded biography of me and pictures, and but it'll have all the sheet music to all the fiddle tunes.
Right.
And so this is an ongoing project. Well, we're looking at 2010 right now.
To have it finished up.
Yeah, so this is a while. 500 tunes. I'm pretty sure I know that many, and I know more than that, I think. But so I decided I should really find out. So that's why I started the project, to see how many I really do know. So anyway, but you can check into my website and find out progress, what's going on.
Right.
And that's banjobilly.net. And it might even be on the screen at some point.
But yeah, I mean, and I will say I've listened to this, and the fiddling on it's very clean. Each note is very clear.
Oh, that's nice.
And concise, and it's at a speed where it's not too fast. So if accomplished fiddle player can probably pick them up pretty easily.
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole idea of the thing is of the recordings is to just have reasonable renditions that aren't really very fancy, and they're just consistent and not very fast, so anybody should be able to listen to it long enough or just play right along with it. Right. So it's an archival thing, so we want to at least save these all for posterity, and then people can just say, oh, there's a whole collection of 500 tunes I'm recording. I could learn how to do this. So.
And then from looking at the tunes, I mean, it looks like some of them they come from all over the country. Some of them are probably Eastern tunes, some are Midwestern tunes, some are Ozark tunes.
Yeah,
wherever you've been, I guess you've kind of
pretty
picked
much.
up tunes.
I've traveled a lot. Basically, it's from the Rockies to the East Coast. And so whatever I happen to collect in that area is what I play. And when I'm hearing tunes or I'm at a place with other people who are playing, there's a lot of tunes that go by and I say, no, I'm not interested. But then there'll be one. And I'll go after that one. Yeah. And so I've just kind of developed my own taste of what I like, and sometimes I'll hear one that says, oh, that's just like that one that I know, but I'm not going to bother with that one, because I already know something like that.
Right.
So I'm always in search of the new obscure tunes, besides the normal ones that most people play.
So you got one there for us?
Yes, I do, I think. See, what did I have? I even made notes, so I might be able to remember which ones to play. Oh, we were talking about early things, the minstrel style banjo playing. Well, at that same time, there was a lot of fiddle tunes being played, mostly on the East Coast, because that's where civilization was. But all of it, well, I'd say most all of it, has influenced European roots. Scott, Irish, there's Norwegians, basically all of Europe. And so there's a lot of different influences on these types of tunes. But some of the early ones come from actually a repertoire of what was played on the Lewis and Clark expedition. And they had 2 fiddlers, and that's what they had for entertainment.
So they took them along just for the entertainment purposes, or did they?
No, they had to
also
work
accomplished.
too.
Yeah, they had to row and carry
Right.
canoes and
They
everything
were
else.
accomplished boatmen also, but since they had fiddles, they made made room for them to keep those things, because that was the entertainment they had. It was work all day, all the way until it's time to eat and start the fire. And then what do? Well, we got to have a little fun. So the fiddles would come out and everybody dance around. And anyway, but that's how you get your relief from the stresses, from the labor, from long, arduous hours of laboring. Anyway, so these tunes go back that far. I have a couple examples of older style tunes. Let's see, the first one. Okay, here's one. What's this? The Old Virginia Jig. So this is something that would go back. They go back to 1840s, 1850s anyway, because it became more popular as we moved through the 19th century. It became more popular all the time, with people finding banjos and fiddles and trying to remember what their father had showed them, or their grandfather. So a lot of tunes. But these are some early ones. The Old Virginia Jig. Here it goes. Oops. I don't think this one's right. There. Okay. The Old Virginia Jig. So I got a tune here. Close enough. Okay. The Old Virginia Jig.
Nice.
The Old Virginia Jig.
That was played on the Lewis and Clark expedition, you think?
I think this one would have been probably a little more modern than,
More modern than that.
1804. This would probably be the 1830s or so. But there's a lot of history in these tunes, and that's what interests me so much about the tunes, is they're actually the musical stories of America in music form. And so there's a lot of correlation between different events that have taken place in American history and the tunes that were played at the time, and new tunes that came about because of events, Civil War being one major one. And a lot of tunes came out of, actually after World War I also. So it was flourishing into the 20th century anyway. But now one that would go way back that they were for sure playing was, let's see, the White Cockade. This is one that they played on the expedition.
This is one, okay.
So it came from, well, we don't want to say France, we want to say just basically Europe. So it existed before then, because the guy who played them had to grow up and learn the tunes and then bring them over. notice about these types of tunes, and even the banjo tunes, they're similar to a march, like you're marching. And some of them were actually, fife tunes, played on little whistles, and people would march. So they lean towards being regimental, actually. This is the White Cockade. Yeah, there you go.
Very nice.
The White Cockade, yes. So that's kind of like a march. You could march to that. You could march all around, carry the boat. You could do whatever you had to do. See, what's another example of an earlier one? Oh, here's another example of one called The Squirrel Hunters. It's been around for a long time. I have the tune, excuse me. That's better. Okay, Squirrel Hunters. You could march to this one too, I guess.
Because you went out hunting squirrels.
Yep. Yeah, they did it over in Europe too.
So it seems like the tunes, they're things that they did in their everyday life, squirrel hunting, or like you said, marching, or events, kind of turned into tunes. I mean, the
Sure.
squirrel hunters, I mean, obviously the name has something to do with everyday life, so they just took their everyday life and put it into the music.
Pretty much that's exactly it. The white cockade, that's actually a feather you stick in your hat, and it happens to be white. And what else? We did the Old Virginia jig.
Obviously, they were dancing in Virginia.
Yes, they were. Probably before most any other place in America, they were dancing in Virginia. But that's an example of those types of things. See, there's one other tune. I don't know if we have time. I suppose we do. They used to play this tune, and they played it at Thomas Jefferson's inaugural. Before they had the ball at nighttime, they were all out racing horses and stuff. And this was a tune they played, and it's called Jefferson and Liberty.
Did somebody write that tune for that event, or was it a?
No, it was already a tune.
It was already a tune.
And then, we think it's an Irish tune, but it was renamed because of the event. Or somebody had forgotten what the name was, or...
Are there words to that? There may be words to that.
I don't know if there is or not. But that's what the tune got designated as because of his inauguration, Jefferson and Liberty. So you can detect that it's part Irish anyway. Yeah, Jefferson and Liberty. Oh yeah. Now what? So that's a pretty good example of some earlier things. And then I've got some more tunes to play. Got more questions for me?
Well, are you going to play some Ozark tunes, or do you have any?
Yes, I am Yes, I have a couple. Ozark tunes are examples of actually Appalachian.
Appalachian tunes, okay.
So we might as well get that out and make some noise, I guess. Couple of
And,
them.
Something else I want to get around to, I know you have a couple of original tunes, so I don't know if you were planning on playing any of those, but at some point we might talk about tunes that are still being written in the old time style. And
Well, yeah, actually they are, and I have several that I've, put together over the course of time. And let's see, I do have some of my originals on CD available on my website. So you can always go there and look it up and see which one is. There's a CD called A Rogue's Buffet, and that's all original fiddle tunes. And then there's another one called The Ghost of Banjo Billy, which is me resurrected as a banjo player, which I was before I started playing the fiddle. But anyway, I think you understand it. You get the picture. It gets confusing if I go any further. But that's okay.
I didn't mean to throw you off from what you were doing. But
No, that's all right. What Ozarks and Appalachians. So from as we all moved westward, a lot of people moved into the Appalachian Mountains where life was really tough. And what they would do, they were real isolated. So they didn't get to town. They didn't hear the newest tunes from New York. They didn't know anything. So they would just tune their fiddles the way they wanted to and play what they could. And, it might take them 10 years of having 5 people coming to visit, and each one showed them a tune. So they would know 5 tunes that they would play for 50 years, because
they were that isolated.
they were that isolated. So there's a difference. We call standard violin tuning Italian tuning, meaning it was invented with the Italians who invented the violins. And now this is called cross tuning, where you tune it like a chord. And in the Appalachians, they called it home tuning, like the tuning we use at home. But they were always home, so they never had a chance to learn that there was anything else, anything different. Or cross tuning, or chord tuning. And so it just makes things a little easier. You don't have to know about the Italian technique. You just saw on the thing.
What sounds good.
Yeah, whatever sounds good. So you can tell that's tuned different.
You have a drone sound. You get kind of a
Yeah, and you
drone
add
sound.
extra drones. So this is an A, E, A, E. And standard Italian tuning is G, D, A, E. But a lot of times, all I needed, for a whole dance was one fiddler, and he'd tune this way, and it sounded like a whole band. So that's all you needed.
You get a nice rich sound out of it.
So let's see. I had a couple ones I had thought about. Oh yeah, one we talked about before, the Old Yellow Dog, or as other people know it, Coming Out of the Wilderness. The young
Old
Abe
Abe
Lincoln.
Lincoln came out of the wilderness.
Yes.
Or the Old Gray Mare.
And the Old Gray Mare also. These are things that all were inspired at that time. So anyway, we call it the Old Yellow Dog Came Trotting to the Meeting House. But whatever you want to call it, it's definitely a piece of Americana. So here's how it goes. But yeah, it's a little more haunting of a sound, not quite as precise. In fact, it's pretty rough. But that was the way it was played. Because the people who were playing this for enjoyment and learning a few tunes, they never thought about getting very good. As long as they could play it and make themselves happy,
Right.
they didn't really need any other purpose.
Yeah, they weren't going to go out and perform it for other people.
Right.
And so they just had to entertain themselves, their neighbors, or their family.
Yep, and just keep at it. So, but today, you know, the quality of people playing is much higher than it would have been then. Just to get your fingers that had held onto a plow all day long to actually move, now that was something hard to do. But I think I probably got another one if we got time.
Yeah, we got about 10 minutes.
All right, well, I got, oh, and then moving on to the Ozarks, as we moved westward, I've got a tune called Echoes of the Ozarks. And it's about the home place and what it kind of felt like, but these are some of the historically, these are some of the real true American sounds of America is what it actually is. And so I try to stay as authentic as possible. I try to interpret anything in too much of a different way. I do have a farm and I've raised a bunch of children, and so I have experience in the rural realm, and I like it.
Yeah.
And I like the tunes that go along with it. So if I was born 100 years ago, I'd probably still be doing the same
Fit
thing.
right in, right?
Yeah, I'd fit right in. So it's called Echoes of the Ozarks. Yeah, there you go. So that's a definite random sampling of a lot of different tunes from as early as the beginning of the 19th century.
Okay. Well, how about, do you have an original tune that you can pull out?
Well, I suppose I do. Let's see. These are all registered at the Library of Congress anyway, so have at it. Okay.
But it's obviously it's still possible to carry on the tradition, but still write tunes. People are still writing.
Well, sure. And that's it's part of the You know, if you think of something and then you look around and you haven't really heard anything like that, and then little pieces of little things just kind of pop out sometimes, and if you can remember it enough, you can piece these little things together and actually come up with something that might be a little different than many other things. That kind of glues you to the tradition. You make up a few things in that realm, then you're stuck to it, which is good though. It's like bonding with history. So let's see.
Bonding and continuing.
That's right. So now I'm trying to think of one. I'm not sure. There's a lot of them.
That waltz that we played last night.
Oh, which one? I don't remember which one that was. Oh, that is an original waltz. Let's see. Do you have some waltzes? Oh, I have some. Let's see. Oh, I got one. Well, let's see. This one's called this. This will be a short one. This one's called Wee Willie. That's me. Wee Willie's Jig.
It's a jig.
Yes, it is. It is a jig, I guess. Yes. Okay. Yes, Wee Willie's Jig. How's it go?
Well, I think we have, that's what?
Yeah, thanks.
We have time for one more tune, I think, and before that, I want to thank Banjo Billy Matthews for being my guest today, and I want to thank Jason Liggett, our camera person and technician, and this has been the 4th edition of Listen Up Illinois. So you want to take us out with the tune?
All right, yeah, let's play this good old one you sodbusters out here will enjoy, called Sheep Shucking Corn.